Dmitry Bivol isn't fooled by the idea that Artur Beterbiev is just a heavy puncher. He understands that Beterbiev's strength isn't about landing a single knockout blow. It's about the way he throws his punches in destructive combinations.
You know, he's not about he has heavy punch and it's very dangerous. No, he's about how strong he is, and he's not only one punch. When he's trying to punching combinations. Yeah. All punches in the combinations are...
You know, he's not about having just a heavy punch and being dangerous. No, he's about how strong he is. And it's not just one punch. When he's throwing combinations, every punch in those combinations is heavy. Bivol recognizes that this makes Beterbiev a different kind of challenge. Unlike some power punchers who load up on one big shot, Beterbiev keeps the pressure on, landing compact, forceful punches that wear his opponents down over time. This means Bivol can't just rely on head movement or defensive counters. He has to be ready to manage distance, disrupt Beterbiev's rhythm, and avoid getting caught in prolonged exchanges. Bivol has faced power before, most notably against Canelo Alvarez, but he sees a key difference in how that power is delivered. I could compare with Canelo, yeah. He puts all his energy, all his power into a single punch. Maybe sometimes his single punch is harder than Beterbiev's.
With the Canelo, yeah? He put all his energy, all his power on single punch. Yeah, and yeah, maybe single punch sometimes he's harder. Canelo.
This is an important distinction. Canelo tries to break opponents down with one explosive shot at a time, while Beterbiev applies steady, overwhelming pressure. Beterbiev doesn't do that. He's more close and compact.
Yeah, Beterbiev was more like close and compact.
That compactness makes Beterbiev's offense more efficient. He doesn't waste energy and he doesn't give his opponents room to breathe. For Bivol, this means he has to be even sharper with his footwork, constantly moving to avoid getting trapped in Beterbiev's range. While some might wonder if Bivol is intimidated by Beterbiev's power, his approach remains analytical. He understands the danger but doesn't see it as something that can't be handled. His style is built around precision, movement, and control. And against someone like Beterbiev, he knows those elements will be key.
Very strong punches, right hand, even through my left. I have, you see my thumb.
Bivol has felt power before, but Beterbiev's strength is something different. Even when blocking punches, the force still gets through. Very strong punches. Right hand, even through my left. You see my thumb? It's swollen because I was holding it on my head and he was beating on my hand. This isn't just about getting hit clean. It's about how much damage Beterbiev can do even when his punches don't land flush. Most fighters expect to feel pain when they take a direct shot, but with Beterbiev, even a blocked punch leaves a lasting effect.
Was beating on my hand.
And that's why you got the bruise there as well.
This is why I felt like my arm, my hand came inside of my head. You know?
The impact isn't just on the hands, it travels through the entire body. Bivol explains how the power doesn't just stop at the point of contact. That's why I got the bruise there. I felt like my arm, my hand came inside of my head, you know, from the power. This is the kind of force that wears fighters down throughout a fight. It's not about a single shot knocking someone out cold. It's about the relentless pounding that makes it harder and harder to defend, move, and react as the rounds go on. For Bivol, this is more than just an observation, it's a warning. He knows that if he lets Beterbiev dictate the pace, if he allows himself to get caught on the inside too often, that power will take a toll. His defense has to be more than just blocking. He must stay mobile, keep the fight at his range, and avoid absorbing too many crushing shots. If Beterbiev is able to break through his guard consistently, even without landing clean, the damage will add up fast. Bivol believes that emotions don't help in a fight, especially against an opponent like Artur Beterbiev. While emotions can add spice to life, he thinks they can be a disadvantage inside the ring. Emotions, most of the time, don't help us to deal with something, he explained. Of course, emotions are like spices for your life, but when you have a hard situation, you shouldn't use your emotions. This is how I think.
Most of the time doesn't help us to deal with something. Of course, emotions is like spices for your life, but when you have some hard situation, you shouldn't use your emotions. This is how I think.
He pointed out that many of Beterbiev's opponents let emotions get the best of them. Whether it was fear or frustration, they stepped into the ring already believing they were up against an unstoppable force, and that mindset doomed them before the first punch was even thrown. Bivol, however, didn't let that happen. He didn't buy into the aura of intimidation, didn't allow himself to be overwhelmed, and stayed composed throughout the fight. That cold, analytical approach was his weapon against Beterbiev's relentless pressure.
When I start my training camp, I started thinking about it too much. Not too much, just a lot, how I should think about it.
When reflecting on the first fight, Bivol admitted that he didn't dwell too much on the loss at first, but when his training camp started, he found himself thinking about it more. Last time, when I started my training camp, I started thinking about it too much. Not too much, just a lot, he said. He understood that he didn't get the result he wanted, and while he wasn't overly emotional about it, it still lingered in his mind.
I didn't like it, of course, but then I just switched off that feelings.
Just like that. The coldest man in boxing.
And I thought like I have another chance. I have to work on it, and I have to do it much more better than I did before.
Of course, I didn't like it, he admitted, but then I just switched off that feeling. Instead of allowing disappointment to consume him, he focused on what was ahead. He knew he had another chance, and that meant one thing. He had to work harder, train smarter, and make adjustments. I have to do it much better than I did before, he said. I have to improve myself. Just where Beterbiev's repetition trains him to keep going, no matter how much his muscles scream for relief. Bivol makes sure to prepare for the rematch. Bivol and his team have made adjustments to their training camp. He knows more about Beterbiev than he did before. He has shared the ring with him, felt his power, and studied his tendencies. Of course, we made some changes about our training camp, he said. Now I know more about him because I faced him in the ring. That experience is invaluable. He isn't stepping into the unknown this time. He has first-hand knowledge of what to expect, and he's using that to his advantage. He is locked in, training hard, and fully focused on the fight ahead. I'm happy that I have this chance again, he said. I'm focused. I'm in training mode.
Of course, we made some of changes about our training camp, about now I know more about him because I face him in the ring, and I'm happy that I have this chance again, and I'm focused. I'm in the training mode.
For Bivol, the stakes of the rematch go beyond titles. His ultimate dream has always been to become the undisputed champion. But after losing to Beterbiev, his mindset shifted. Now it's not just about collecting belts, it's personal. I want the rematch. I want to close this subject with this opponent, he said. I want to win him. The desire to correct his mistakes is just as strong as his ambition to become undisputed. This wish to win him, I think, is not less than to be undisputed, he admitted. However, he clarified that it's not about vengeance or anger. It's about setting things right. It's not about hurting him, he said. It's just about fixing what happened before. I want to fix this part of my life. I want to do it better for me. The rematch is his opportunity to close this chapter on his own terms, and this time he intends to walk away with the victory.
Rematch. I want to close this subject with this opponent. I want to win him, and it's this wishes to win him, I think, not less than to be undisputed.
Revenge?
Yeah.
That's a different feeling.
Yeah, a little bit different feelings now.
You want to hurt him? You want to hurt him?
It's not about hurt him. It's just about to fix what it was before. I wanna fix my this part in my life. I wanna fix and I wanna do it better.
There are plenty of stories floating around about just how tough it is to spar with Artur Beterbiev. Fellow boxers and sparring partners often speak about his unmatched intensity and raw power.
I sparred with him a few times, and that's by far the worst thing I've ever experienced in life. I've been hit by a car once when I was young, and that's how I feel like sparring with him like this.
Every session is about preparing for the storm, about being the storm. When you watch Beterbiev train, you don't just see a fighter, you see a warrior preparing for battle. Bivol made it clear that there was no real history of sparring between him and Beterbiev, brushing aside any rumors that their past training sessions held any significance. While they had spent time together on the national team, he emphasized that they were at different stages in their careers and in completely different weight classes. We had some work together, kind of sparring, but I cannot tell that it was sparring because of the difference in kilos. It wasn't something serious. He downplayed any idea that those brief encounters could offer insight into how a real fight between them would unfold.
Special, we were in different age, we were different weight classes. We had some work together, kind of a sparring, but I cannot tell that it was sparring because two different kilos, and it wasn't something like serious.
Despite Beterbiev's fearsome reputation as a relentless power puncher with a 100% knockout rate, Bivol didn't seem the least bit intimidated. He respects Beterbiev's accomplishments, but remains unfazed by the aura of invincibility surrounding him. I respect him as an athlete because he achieved a lot, Bivol acknowledged, but his calm demeanor suggested that he sees Beterbiev as just another challenge rather than an unbeatable force. While some fighters might dwell on Beterbiev's reputation or let it get in their heads, Bivol appeared indifferent to the hype. For me, it doesn't matter what he thinks, what will happen, or why this fight didn't happen. What matters is that we need to make this fight, and I'm ready. Beterbiev is known to thrive on chaos, while Bivol stays calm and composed. His footwork is almost surgical, always keeping him in the perfect position to land his shots while staying out of harm's way. He's a fighter who beats you by making you miss, by frustrating you, by staying one step ahead at all times.
To be honest, I believe that it's the hardest test.
So Bivol didn't hesitate when assessing the challenge that Beterbiev presented, acknowledging that this could be the most difficult test of his career. Unlike some fighters who might downplay an opponent's abilities, Bivol was direct in his evaluation. To be honest, I believe that it's the hardest test, he admitted. There was no exaggeration, no attempt to downplay the threat, just a straight-up acknowledgement of the reality he's facing. However, while some might hear those words and assume doubt or concern, Bivol's demeanor suggested otherwise. He wasn't rattled or intimidated. Instead, he spoke with the calm, calculated confidence of a man who had already begun dissecting the challenge in front of him.
I know he's physically stronger than Canelo. And he has good technique too. Many people talks about his power, but they forget about his technique.
When discussing why he views Beterbiev as such a difficult opponent, Bivol makes an important distinction. Many compare Beterbiev to Canelo Alvarez, a fighter Bivol already defeated convincingly. But in Bivol's eyes, the two are not the same. He's stronger. I know he's physically stronger than Canelo, he stated matter-of-factly. The way he said it wasn't laced with fear or uncertainty. It was simply an observation, as if he were analyzing the attributes of a chess piece before making his next move. Beterbiev's strength isn't just about knocking people people out. It's about how he imposes himself in the ring, the way he bullies his opponents, and the sheer physical presence he carries with every punch, every clinch, and every exchange. But here's where Bivol believes people get it wrong. He feels that too many focus solely on Beterbiev's power and overlook one of his most dangerous weapons, his technique. Too many people talk about his power, but they forget about his technique. Bivol explained. That's a critical insight. Beterbiev isn't just some wild puncher relying on brute force. He's methodical, precise, and knows how to systematically break down his opponents. Artur Beterbiev doesn't just train, he puts himself through a gauntlet of pain, grit, and sheer determination. Despite recognizing Beterbiev's strengths, Bivol didn't sound the least bit intimidated. His words carried the tone of a man who has studied the battlefield and is preparing his strategy accordingly. There was no sign of hesitation, no nervous energy, just the quiet, steely confidence of someone who thrives on solving difficult puzzles. To Bivol, Beterbiev is a challenge, yes, but an unsolvable one? Not at all. It's clear that in his mind, this is just another problem to be solved, another mountain to climb, and he fully intends to be the man standing at the peak when all is said and done.
Was he stronger than you thought? Did he hit harder than you thought?
I was expecting that he's strong.
Bivol wasn't caught off guard by Beterbiev's strength. He knew exactly what he was walking into, and when asked whether Beterbiev was stronger than expected, his answer was clear. I was expecting that he's strong, and he was strong, he said without hesitation. There was no surprise in his voice, no shock at the power he faced. It was simply a fact that Beterbiev is a physically imposing fighter, and Bivol knew that from the start. Some fighters might go into a bout underestimating their opponent's power, only to be rattled when they feel it firsthand. But Bivol, he was prepared. He had already factored that into his strategy long before stepping into the ring.
Go into this one with a different type of pressure. To lose again would be a bit of a damage to your career. Is more pressure on you to win this time? Was it the same as it was before?
The same pressure, the same pressure.
With the rematch looming, the stakes are higher than ever. Beterbiev won the first fight, and now Bivol is facing a different kind of pressure. Losing again wouldn't just be another setback, it would be a serious blow to his career. When asked if this fight carries more pressure than the first, Bivol remained composed. The same pressure, he stated, his tone unwavering. In his mind, nothing has changed. The expectation to win, the drive to perform at his best, the hunger for victory, it's all the same as before. He doesn't need added motivation because he already operates at the highest level of focus and discipline.
Medicine ball throw is correlated highly with the punching power.
Now we play bowling. You stay there.
Beterbiev approaches every fight with the mindset of a warrior. He doesn't just prepare to win, he prepares to dominate.
Generally, his strongest one.
Yeah. Okay. But not the hardest punch, right? It seems like there's someone else in your mind that you might be.
No, he's. I told before that, just as example, Pascal also could hard punch. Canelo also could hard punch, but they put a lot of efforts to...
So when the interviewer's next question put Bivol on the spot, he didn't show any signs of intimidation. Is Artur the hardest puncher? Dmitry paused thoughtfully before giving his answer. He's generally the strongest one, yeah, he admitted, acknowledging Beterbiev's raw power. But then, Dmitry added a twist, but not the hardest punch. His response hinted at an intriguing distinction, and the interviewer was quick to pick up on it. It seems like there's someone else in your mind, they pressed. Dmitry smiled slightly and clarified, no, I told you before, just an example. Pascal also could punch hard. Canelo also could punch hard. What sets Beterbiev apart, though, is something far more unique. But they put a lot of effort into punching hard, Dmitry explained. For him, it's less effort and harder punch. That insight offers a glimpse into what makes facing Beterbiev such a challenge. We couldn't help but notice Bivol being intimidated, and for good reason. While others rely on winding up and loading their shots with visible effort, Beterbiev's power comes naturally. It's effortless, explosive, and quite frankly terrifying. Bivol sees Beterbiev as more than just a knockout artist. His technique and relentless pressure make him a true threat in the ring. But do you think Bivol has the right strategy to outbox Beterbiev? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.